Hey everybody, welcome back. It's me, your old pal Orpheus, and there's birds here. Why are there birds here? I can't do anything. Can I do anything to the birds? Hold on, real quick. We're at another edition of Orpheus Plays here on Blade and Sorcery, and I'm trying to hit birds and I can't do it. I hope you're doing well wherever you are right now as I try to murder these birds. Okay, that didn't work. Anyway, whether it's day or night or another alternate dimension, go ahead and leave a comment below where you are right now. And we'll try to talk to you at some point. I got a little note the other day, I think it was yesterday, that we have a couple viewers in Japan. Welcome. This is probably, I don't know, probably going to be banned in Japan if you ever showed it to one of the censorship people. But love some Japan people, love some people that live in Japan. It's one of the places in my life that I've always wanted to spend a good amount of time in, especially places like Tokyo and Shibuya and places like that. Very cool kind of culture. I like the respect that their culture has for every single person, whether they're flipping burgers or they're a high-powered executive. Each person has their own place in their society, and it's all very much respected. All right, so if you can't tell already, I've already started this. We're in survival mode here in the arena. This is where you get waves that come out, and there are these pedestals that come up with random weapons, right? Some of you have asked me how to do that, how to actually get to this mode. I'm going to keep juking this guy. When you go to select a map on your main screen near the dock there that's got that big map, when you go and you look over to this side, it says sandbox. There's a little arrow you can click that turns it into survival. And that is what we're playing here. So I hope helped you out with that. Yeah! Oh, he's not dead yet. Let's finish the slow motion kill. Oh. He's very unhappy. Let's try it again. Okay, you don't need to see this. There we go. I took care of it, okay. Come here, get hammered. Oh. Oh wait, nope, do a little slow motion punch. No, how about some regular punch? Yeah, that's right, you like that? Oh, throat punch. Let's pick you up. We're gonna call you Spike. Yeah, so it's another awesome day for murder. We're doing some ruthless action here. Oh, come here, I want to hug you. Oh, you're my friend. Can we go out? Do you want to go out? You want to go out with me? Oh, he's derped. He's totally derped. All right. Well, Spike number 2. Okay, maybe not. Oh, he's still dead. Yes. Serve the purpose. So I'm feeling kind of relaxed today. It's another good day. I am a medical MJ patient, in case you hadn't noticed, or I hadn't mentioned it before, or you couldn't tell from my very laid-back demeanor. And, boy, the whole industry of Mary Jane, and again, we're in the first few minutes of here. I don't want to tick off the censorship analog gods. Or algorithm gods. But anyway, if I ever do make money off of this channel, this video is definitely going to be demonetized. But here, this is why. So the whole thing with Mary Jane my whole life, I've been kind of infatuated with it since I was about 18, 19. I did not, come to it very early. I was actually a person that went and studied it for 6 months before I took my first toke. Which, incidentally, was with, I can't say her name. Oh, God, I can't say her name. It's a girl from Hollywood who, she's known for being very stupid in one of her movies. And no, not Reese Witherspoon, not her. It's someone else, but damn it, I can't tell you who it is. But that was the first, I got stoned for the first time with her, and then went and sat in a hot tub for about 4 hours and watched the world go left by about 3 inches. But, yeah, no, so I actually researched it for about 6 months first, and back then there was not a lot of information about it. And so the things that I did over the years in order to get stoned, yeah, so let's start this with a disclaimer. It's a 2-part disclaimer. First of all, everything that I'm talking about here today is allegedly. allegedly, sorry, got something caught in my throat, right? Allegedly, things that I did in my life. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second of all, it doesn't matter what I say about the first thing, because the statute of limitations is all way gone on this. And you know, as soon as I talk about statute of limitations in one of my stories, you're like, ooh, this one's gonna be good. All right, so let's just go over some of the things that I've done over the years in order to get stoned. All right, so my first forays into it were at like jobs that I would work at, right? And so, like, you'd get into a job, you'd hear someone talking about smoking up after work or something, and you're like, hey, could I maybe, get a little bit of that? And you always, especially back when it was completely like, hey, team effort, good for you. Too bad that I don't care. Oh, vibro sword. But... so, like, the first place you kind of go is, like, work. Okay, well, hey, how you doing? I'm new here. And do you know where I can get anything? And they're like, no, I don't know you. You're probably a narc. Right? Like, okay. I promise I'm not. I'm cool. I'm cool. Then it takes you usually a couple months to kind of get in with somebody that's comfortable with you. And, you start by smoking with him and stuff. Well, this one time I was working as a... government quality control agent. That sounds all official, doesn't it? I promise it's not as serious as it sounds. But I was working as a government quality control agent. It was a contract job that I was working. And so my job was basically to make sure that people that were on the phone gathering information and doing their job, I made sure that they were doing it correctly, right? So that they weren't breaking the rules or going far from their script on their computer, things like that. So I would listen in on phone calls. Well, one of the guys that worked with me, he was a big old guy. And like, one of those big people, like they're larger in size, they're just big boned and they carry it off great. They're just these huge guys, right? Well, he was this huge guy. He was like this tall above me. And so for some reason, we really became good friends. And so we'd start hanging out after work together. And so he had this Jaguar convertible. And it was like walnut dashboards and leather interior and like, there you go. And it was like pearlescent buttons on the dash and everything, and like silver-plated steering wheel. And I'm like, what? First of all, why are you working anywhere with this car? Like, you obviously do not need money. He goes, well, I kind of use jobs. I take jobs so I can, sell stuff to people. Mary Jane, right? So I'm like, oh, well, that's convenient, because your old pal Orpheus here is looking for some. And he's like, oh, yeah? Yeah. Well, I found out that he was the son of one of the biggest drug dealers in the city that we were working in. And this was oh, God, it's got to burn. Oh. So this was a major city in the United States. The population way above, a couple million. And... so I find out this guy, his dad is like the biggest drug kingpin in the entire area. I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, hey, you want to go driving with me? Drive down to the hood. He's like, I got to drop off some stuff. And I'm like, are you, am I coming along for like deliveries of drugs? He's like, well, I mean, it's better if you don't know. Like that sort of thing. And so we spent that afternoon and then a couple more after that driving around the hood, like full on like worst parts of this city, just screaming down these narrow roads, because he had absolute license. Everyone knew who he was. And so let me preface this by saying I'm an average size, white guy, right? And he was this giant black guy. And so it looked like I was his little comic sidekick sitting in the Jaguar next to him. So we'd go out, and we'd do this about 4 or 5 times before my contract was up. And every time it's like, you know that people hated this guy. There were people out on the street that like would just death stare us as we go by. I can't imagine that we never got carjacked or robbed or murdered or something. So, all right. So that's that one. That's one of the interesting things. It's like, how is Orpheus not dead? Well, it gets better. It gets much better. Much more danger. So, this other... we've got Wicked Witch feet again. Looks like he crushed by a house. That was so good for him, his toes curled. But, yeah, so another time, let me tell you about a concept that came with buying the old MJ back in the day. There's a thing called a beeper, or a pager. And these days, you don't have to worry about these at all. You can still get a beeper or a pager, but it is absurd how much it'll cost you for like the monthly fee and stuff. So in case you're not familiar with what a beeper is, it's a little plastic box that you have on you, and it's people can call a number and leave you like a telephone not a message, not like a voicemail, but like they can punch in numbers that you will see. So the point is, you know, they want to get in touch with you. They call your beeper. They put in their number, you know, the area code and the number, and then it pages you. Like you get a little beep, 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 right? And you're like, oh, okay, so-and-so's calling me. Well, so the designation for something that was extremely important that you needed to call back for was you put your phone number and then 911, right? After it. That meant like, you know, call me back right now. It's important. Well, if you wanted to get any MJ back in the day, you had to have a beeper and you had to know somebody, your dealer, who also had a beeper. Because that was the only way that you could get away with, you know, finding someone and getting in touch with each other without getting in trouble, that sort of thing. Well, so again, because it's legal now, this all seems so dumb and pointless. I wasted so much of my life at random people's apartments all over the country. Oh, okay. I took an arrow. Just one arrow here. Come here, the stab you. Oh, okay. Oh, come here. I'm gonna let you protect me. So yeah, the number of times, the amount of hours in my life, like just to get simple friggin' like $20 worth of MJ, right? And you're like, I just want that. And so you call your friend who knows a friend who knows a guy who could call his dealer. And so there's many steps along the way that you have to wait. So like, I have stayed in people's apartments for hours, and these are people that I do not know. So it's like, hi, I'm Orpheus. I'm waiting to get high. Does anyone have anything? So we'd all like scrape together whatever resin and stuff that we could, and we'd slowly try to get high while we were waiting and stuff. So there were so many people that were so like serious about it. And usually when the dealer shows up, he's like Mr. Paranoid. He's like, I want to make sure that are you a narc? Do you know this guy? You could tell, can you vouch for him? It's like, calm down, dude. I had, there were dealers that would show up with guns. Like, dude, you're dealing weed. Calm down. You don't need a gun. All right. I used to just meet people at random. Like when I lived in California, oh my God, living on Venice Beach, which the California story for me, that's a whole other one I'm going to get into. But living on Venice Beach, it was like, I used to live in a building that was literally on the boardwalk there, the Strand. And it was right in the spot where they had the drum circle all the time. But I'll get into that another time. But walking down Venice Beach, you know, you got homeless people that are... Okay, he decided to take his revenge out one more time. You got homeless people that are selling it. You got people just walking down the boardwalk. They're like smoking, and you're like, hey, can I get some? Sure. But, you know, I used to just kind of meet people at random after I got more confident. Like, hey, you know, or I can get some smoke. Well, for a little while, my main source was this is a whole dynamic that, again, I look back at this and I'm like, this was the stupidest thing I could have done at that point in my life. So I kind of figured, like, well, there are certain points there's certain places in cities where, you know, there's a little bit of danger going on, right? Where the local economy is, what's it called? A narco government or something like that. Basically, the idea is that drugs are the main source of income for the area. Now, I'm going to tell you a couple times during this video, please be responsible, okay? Don't try to take what I'm saying here as some glorification of these things. I'm telling you this stuff because it's extremely stupid, and it will hopefully kind of guide you away from doing these dumb things. Because again, this part of the story, I'm surprised that I'm not dead by now. So I figured, you know, there are certain places in cities where it's easier to find things. Well, again, let me reiterate, I am a average size white guy, right? There's not a lot going on to me. I'm athletic, but I was never like, you know, Mr. Buff going in here, hello, don't mess with me, I'll crush your skull like a chicken, right? No, I've never been that guy. So, in my wisdom and divine calculation, I discovered that probably the best place to find some marijuana is like downtown in the ghettos. Well, you can't go during the day, right? It's not safe. I say it's not safe, but like it's much easier to get caught during the day. At least that's the idea. Nope. Right in the nipple. But it's much, you know, you do stuff at night because it's more covert, right? Ooh, gonna go out there and I'm gonna, oh. Well, so I pinpointed a couple places. And it was like I'd have to wait until 9, 10 at night, where it's just good and dark out, right? And I would go and find a place, or I'd see someone walking down the street. This was one of the stupid things. I'd just see some random guy walking down the street, and I'd stop and I'd be like, "Hey, do you know where I can get some dope?" He's like, "Yeah, you know, go down there, turn down that street, park in front of this house, and flash your headlights a couple times, and someone will come out." And it was basically, that was always what it was. The big joke being like, oh, you know, you go down to this place and you go to that corner, and then you ask for a guy named Tom. He's a homeless guy that lives in a gray box. So you want to ask him, and he'll give you directions to Steve, who's lives 3 blocks away, and his neighbor sells stuff. It's like, okay. So you finally get all that figured out. And I go to this place. And I park, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, am I going to do this? I flash my headlights twice, and I wait, and I see a couple heads pop out, and suddenly some guy comes running out of the darkness at me, and he comes up to the window. He's like, "What do you need?" I'm like, "I was hoping to get some dope." And he's like, "Yeah, no problem, man. How much you want?" And I'm like, "I don't know, whatever." I don't even remember anymore. The prices for things have changed so drastically since then. Since back then. I don't even know prices back then. But he's like, "How much you want?" "Oh, blah, blah, blah. You know, this much." He goes, "Okay, hold on. Let me come and get into your car." So now there's a stranger sitting in my car who's probably addicted to something bad, right? Because he's not looking too healthy. And it's like, okay, well, here, give me the money. I'll go over here to this house, and I'll get it, and I'll come back. Well, there's your first problem, right? You don't know this guy. He doesn't know you. You're giving him cash, and he's going to run off and get you something. All right. So that's what would happen. Like, he goes, you give him the money, he goes, and wow. The headless man. Ooh, that one just hurt. Smack him in the ass with it. So, you know, he'd go running off. Another headless guy. And you'd wait about 5-10 minutes, And the whole time you're terrified because I mean, it's a neighborhood. They know when there's someone in the neighborhood that's not from the neighborhood, right? So you're getting kind of side stares from people that are out. There's people doing bad things in the darkness, right? But you're trying not to tell yourself, you know, I'm a suburban white kid. I'm sorry. I hope I don't attract too much attention. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. And so the guy would come running back out. Well, the first time that I did this, notice I've said a few times I'm looking for dope, right? Naive Orpheus at this point in life didn't realize that dope in the ghetto was slang for heroin. So he comes running back out and he's like, all right, man, it's all set. And he hands me this baggie full of powder. And I'm like, what the hell is this? He's like, no, you want a dope, man? He's like, that's however much worth of dope. And I'm like, no, not this. I'm like, I want weed, man. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, so you want 20 for 10? What do you want? And I'm like, I don't understand what you're saying. He's like, well, I'll try to get you the good stuff. So again, goes running off, comes back a couple minutes later, hands me a baggie that's got, you know, it's got some green in it. Well, good. And then I start noticing the different times that I'm there that there's staples on the bags, right? And these staples each time are different colors, right? They're actually like colored with a marker. So like there's purple ones and there's blue ones and everything. And I got to know one of the guys pretty well. He was a guy who was addicted to crack, and his name was Durag. Yes, Durag. Durag, the homeless crack addict, became my temporary friend for several weeks. And he was like, well, those staples are, we got weed for suburban guys, and we got weed for the city guys. He's like, you started off getting the suburban stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute, what do you mean? He says, well, that's the weaker stuff. We don't really like to sell to you guys. And I'm like, well, that's nice of you. He says, well, no, now I trust you, no, so you got the good stuff. Well, one of the times, Durag was not available, but his friend was. And his friend took me for a ride around the block. And I think his friend was trying to get me robbed because there was a group of guys that were waiting for me around a corner. And being the intelligent young man that I was, I actually got out of this one because I was like, hey, you know, I think there's a cop. I see a cop behind me, you know, about a block away. And so he was like, oh, okay, let me out. But he looked so disappointed, like they were going to get a free meal out of this one. So the drive of shame always comes after that, right? Where you have to drive home and every single car behind you is a cop car, right? At least that's what you think. Your brain, oh no. Oh, nutshot. Your brain automatically goes, okay, every set of headlights, is that a cop? Could that be a cop? Could that be a cop? Yeah, the drive of shame, it's always bad. And then usually what I would do is I would go to the drive-in movie theater and test out my new stuff and go from there. But yeah, dumb stuff. Dumb stuff. Well, what was one of those other ones? I forgot. There was a really stupid thing that I did in order to get it. I forget what it was. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I was coming back from New York. I was taking a bus. I will never understand why I did this one. This one was just dumb. And we had a layover somewhere. It was like a 4-hour layover. And I was outside having a cigarette, as was the tradition for me at times in my life when I was less intelligent than I am now and I quit smoking. And so again, we're going to do this disclaimer here, folks. I'm going to repeat it again. Nothing that I do should be an example or a condonement or endorsement of any of this behavior that is all alleged anyway and the statute of limitations has passed. Again, juicy part of the story, right? So, I'm outside having a cigarette, and I see this guy kind of lurking around. He's kind of just hanging out right here, and he's puffing on a joint. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, so this place was completely empty except for the people that were on my bus. And I walk over and I'm like, hey, can I get in on that? And he's like, yeah, I mean, toke, okay. Yeah. And I'm like, can I buy something? And he's like, yeah. And he pulls it's like a folded piece of newspaper, right? That you can tell it looks like there's something it's a pouch, where they just fold it up in some paper. Quick and dirty, right? And he's like, hey, this will cost you $30. And I'm like, okay. So I go and I get my wallet, and I pull out my wallet, and he grabs the wallet and runs away. And so I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Wait, no. And I start running after him, and 2 of his friends come out from behind it, like in an alley, and they're like, hey, bro, you got anything else for us? So no, I went sprinting the other way. Should have been dead that time. And I'll tell you one more light little story. So I was in California. A lot of weird things in my life happened in California, and I'll get to all of those at some point. Oh no, I got these scars. So I'm hanging out at what was it? It was called the Sky Bar. I don't even know if it still exists. It was like the hot place to go. It's on the patio of, I think, the Le Mondrian Hotel, or at least it used to be. It was like this big exclusive place where you had to like know somebody to get in. Well, as I've mentioned before, I had a very unique position in my life where I could attend Hollywood things and meet celebrities and stuff like that. No, not for media. It wasn't because of my news thing. Something else entirely. Maybe I'll feel comfortable at some point telling you about it. But right now, no. Anyway, so I was on the list. Went to the Sky Bar, and I'm dancing. I'm watching. I'm seeing all these celebrities pour in and stuff. I'm paying, $9.50 for a beer, which back then was ridiculous amounts of money, right? So back then a beer would have cost you like $2 at a bar. So like $9.50 for a beer. So okay. Like, this seems a little overdone. Well, this place was famous for having like a swimming pool there and a whole bunch of lounges that you could just kind of chill out on, and a dance floor and a DJ and everything. And it's a place to go, see people and be seen by people. Let's do a little throw. Ha! And so it's one of those times again where I just need to get stoned. And I see this couple on the dance floor, and they're dancing real close to each other, all loving, nice and intimate kind of dance. And they're passing a joint back and forth between the two of them. And so, excuse me, a little frog in my throat. And so I'm like, since this is that kind of place, maybe I can, so I saunter up to them and I'm like, hey, how you guys doing tonight? And they kind of look at me like, fine. I say, so, can I get a little toke off of that? And like, looking back at it, this was like horribly rude to do to people out of nowhere. Like, I don't know these people. And I'm just walk up and I'm like, hey, can I get some of your... It's like in Half-Baked when Snoop Dogg comes out and like smokes the whole joint, gives it back, like the roach back to him. It's like, I would buy some, but I just quit. Right? But, so I'm sitting there, I'm taking a couple tokes, and I'm like, yeah, I'm from out of town, I was just looking for a little smoke, and it gets down to the road. She's like, you can keep that. And I'm like, oh, thanks, buddy. I go, is there any way I can buy some? He's like, yeah, no problem. He's like, I got some out in my car. I'm like, sweet. I'm like, how much do you want for it? Like, what's it going to cost me? Well, it's about $1,300 a kilo. And I go, wait. A kilo? So you want the minimum you can sell me is 2.2 pounds of this stuff? He goes, yeah, he's like, I'm a dealer. I'm one of the dealers here on the West Coast. And I'm like, okay, right. So he's like, yeah, do you want just 1 kilo? Or he's like, what, are you traveling? You gonna take it back to sell it or something? I'm like, no. Like, I just wanted, like, you know, a couple bowls worth. I don't want that. Like, and it would have been amazing if he was a cop or something. Yep, then I'm back in jail. Wait, why do I say back in jail? Then I'm in jail. All right, so we're going to cut it off there. Once again, I'll reiterate, nothing of what I've talked about here is supposed to be glorification or endorsement of drug use. It is legal in most places now, in a lot of places now, either medicinally or for recreational use. I'm in one of those places where it is both, and I'm fortunate for that. But it has really changed my life. It's made things a lot better. I used to take a whole bunch of pills for pain relief and muscle relaxing and stuff. Don't need those anymore, you know. Be responsible. If you don't know what's going on with it and you're just, you know, you're just smoking to smoke, learn a little bit about it. I'll be doing an episode coming up here soon where I kind of explain things lightly about marijuana. I used to do education for it. So I was an education director for a large dispensary. Now, actually a national dispensary. And actually, I think international. But anyway, used to do education for marijuana, proper cannabis use and the different things. If you don't know what indica and sativa and hybrids and stuff are, we'll go into that another time. But if you're going to do it yourself and you're legal for it, please stay legal on this stuff. There are studies that show that using marijuana when you're too young it's not as dangerous as they want you to think, but at the same time, the choices you make in life resonate. They stay with you, right? So some of the idiotic things that I chose to do in my past, they impacted me. They changed me, and not always for the better, okay? So be smart, be responsible, and remember, if you ever need somewhere to go, if you ever need someone to talk to, or if you ever need a little bit of background noise, your old pal Orpheus is here for you. Just come on back next time. We'll have a little bit more fun on Orpheus Plays. See you next time. Bye.